Well, I want to thank God for giving me again another chance to stand before you, my online viewers, my online followers, and my friends back in the country of Kenya. I want to share a brief message of God while I am here in Qatar. I said last time that I've been dealing with a series kind of teachings which I began some weeks ago in my country, Kenya, while I was in my vacation. I began teachings about Follow Me. It was part one, it was part two, which I dealt with a few days ago while I'm here in Qatar. And today I want to conclude by presenting part three of that message, Follow Me. So today it will be part three. And I hope you will be extremely blessed as you keep on following these kinds of teaching. I want to thank God because of the chance that I have here in Qatar. It has been a chance of proving what God has put in my heart, proving what God has laid in my heart. And I realize that everything needs determination. Without determination, you cannot achieve in anything. It doesn't matter whatever you are doing, whether you are a farmer, you are a driver, you are a cleaner, you are a laborer, you need what we call determination for you to achieve what you want to do. And therefore, without wasting time, because this message will be so brief, I want you to turn with me to the book of John, chapter 4, that is Gospel of John, chapter 4. We'll read from verse 5 to verse 30. I will read from verse 5 to verse 30, but I will do it very fast so you bear with me. Gospel of John, chapter 4, verse 5 to 30. So he came to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. And now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, he sat thus by the well. It was about 6 hours. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Verse 9, then the woman of Samaria said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, Samaritan woman? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritan." I want you to underline verse 9. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, for Samaritan woman? For Jewish have no dealings with the Samaritan." Jesus answered us and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who is it who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you a living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered and said to her, "Whoever drinks of the water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, that I may not thirst nor come here to draw." Jesus said to her, "Go call your husband and come here." The woman answered and said, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You have well said, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have is not your husband. In that you spoke truly." The woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, and you Jews say that in Jerusalem is the place where one ought to worship." Let me jump to verse 25 to save my time. The woman said to him, I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things. Jesus said to her, I will speak to you, I am he. At that time, at this point, his disciple came and they marveled that he talked with the woman, yet no one said, what do you seek, or why are you talking with her? The woman then left her water pot, went away into the city and said to the men, come, see a man who told me all things that I have ever did. Could this be the Christ? Then they went out of the city and came to him. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. We have just read from verse 5 to verse 30, but we have skipped some verses just to save time. I want to paraphrase what is happening in this text. I want to explain briefly using my own words what is happening in this text. This is a conversation between Jesus and the Samaritan woman. Jesus began his conversation, or rather Jesus breaks the ice by saying to the woman, give me a ring. That is how they begin their conversation. Jesus breaks the ice by saying to the woman, give me a ring. And the woman responds, how is it that you are a Jew, ask a ring from me? That is the response from the woman. You know, in those days, there used to be some kind of custom, just the way we are today. Here in Qatar, you realize the Arabs here, they have their own customs. When you come to Qatar, you go to training of MOI, Ministry of Interior. You are taught there at least to recognize the customs of these people, so that even when you are at work, you may know how to handle them. For instance, a man is not allowed to touch a lady here in an Arabic country, and therefore you need to understand this kind of custom. The same way it happened in those days. The Samaritans and the Jews, they had their own custom. They could not mingle. They couldn't come together. And when Jesus asked this Samaritan woman about the ring, the Samaritan woman responds by saying, how comes you are a Jew? And you are asking me, Samaritan woman, a ring, for we have no dealings. We have nothing to do with you Jews. You know, it even happened in our contemporary society. You only accept a deal when you know the deal has something to do with personal benefit. You accept a deal when you know this deal is going to benefit you. That's how you accept a dealing, or you do deal, because you know this deal is going to benefit somebody. But sometimes you avoid a deal which you know is not going to benefit you. It has got no benefit. You try as much as you can to avoid the dealing. Yesterday, I learned something from online about my country, Kenya. It was in the news. I hope you also went through it and you saw it. And I was just perturbed to see how the dealings is going on in my country about the president in the country of Kenya, and the president in the United States, the President Harris Trump. They had a dealing to put some quarantine place in our country, Kenya. And people were wondering about this dealing. How comes they are just putting the quarantine in the country of Kenya? How comes? Who is going to benefit? There was just kind of questions internally or inwardly. And personally, after going through the news, I realized this is a deal whereby someone, somebody, somewhere is going to benefit for the dealing. And that's how it is. People like dealings. People like something which is going to benefit them. And therefore, in this conversation, this is the words from the Samaritan woman saying, how comes you ask me for a drink, and yet we have got no dealings? And Jesus changes and responds towards the conversation. He tells the woman, if you had known who is talking to you, you would have asked for a drink, and he would have given you eternal drink. And the conversation continues and continues and continues. And just to cut the story short because of time,
cut the story short because of time, the conversation reaches to a point whereby Jesus hits the nail on the head. When the woman accepts the drink, he says, okay, give me the drink you're talking about. The woman concludes by accepting for the drink. And Jesus tells the woman, first go call your husband and come here. First go, before I give you this drink, go call your husband. The woman said, I have no husband. Jesus says, truly you have spoken very well, for you have got no husband. You have 5, and even the one you have now is not your husband. And surely the woman perceived that this is a prophet. This is a prophet. The woman, the key point in chapter 4, verse 28, the woman leaves the water point, the water pot. The woman leaves the water pot and decides to go into the city, and he tells men, come and see a man who has told me things pertaining to my life. When I was reading at this text, I was so much shocked when the woman reached a point of perceiving that the one she was talking with was a prophet. She left the water pot and went into the city and said unto men, come and see a man who had told me things that I ever did. I want to say that to this point of reaching chapter 4 and verse 28, it is a point that brings me to my message. Follow me, part 3. It is a point that brings me to the body, or rather to the conclusion of my message this night. That follow me, I said earlier, that means you have received something from somebody you know, from somebody you have trusted, and then also you are passing it over to another person. And I said early from the part 1 and part 2 of this subject, follow me. I said, whatever you have, you are working hard to make sure that you are depositing unto another person, whatever you have. And as you read this text, you realize that after this woman receiving message from Jesus, she doesn't stop there and keep what she has received in her heart, but she works on it. She runs to the city. She makes sure that she has deposited to other men, and the men also get convinced in their hearts, and they come together with her to make sure they see what they have been told. I want to conclude tonight that whatever you have received from Jesus, whatever you have received from God, make sure that you find somebody somewhere to deposit that which you have received. Make sure you deposit to somebody. Make sure, however hard it may be, however problematic it may be, make sure you receive it. Make sure you hand it over to another person. As I said earlier, that this is a race like that race of relay, whereby you take the stick, you run with it, you hand over to another person, the other person run with it and hand over to another person. The issue and the idea of serving God is just like the same race I'm talking about. Whatever you have received from God, run with it and make sure you hand it over to another person, so that that person may also hand it over to another person. I want to appreciate for what I've received from God. Since that time up to this time, I have kept what I've received, and I'm making sure I am passing it over through online. I'm passing it over personally wherever I'm working. I'm passing it over by whichever kind of means possible. I want to conclude. As you listen to this message, may you take it and hand it over to another person. Subscribe our channel, Liberal Arts Center, Jombo. We need your comment. We need your like. Message is coming from Qatar, where I am. May God bless you. May God bless you abundantly. Thank you.